I was sweating buckets inside a hot dog mascot costume when the gleaming Maybach pulled up to the curb. Chloe Vance stepped out, her childhood friend Caleb Young in tow. She looked at me, suffocating and drenched in sweat inside the costume, and said, "You've helped me a lot these past 2 years. Name your price. Whatever compensation you want, just ask." She was drawing a line, clean and final. I had just opened my mouth when Caleb cut me off with a sneer. "Don't say something stupid like you want to be your boyfriend. Take a good look at yourself. You think you're worthy." I watched as Chloe slipped her hand into his, their fingers lacing together intimately. The words I was about to say died in my throat. I swallowed them and changed course. $50,000. A one-time payment would be great. The smile on Chloe's face froze. She stared at me, her expression a mask of disbelief. After the Vance family fortune was frozen, I'd swooped in and become her boyfriend. For 2 whole years, I'd worked 4 jobs to support her, giving her everything I had, letting her take whatever she wanted. And on the very day her family's assets were finally released, here I was, still dressed as a giant hot dog, trying to save up for her next semester's tuition. She'd always been a cool, collected ice queen, never one to show her emotions. This was the first time I'd ever seen her look genuinely annoyed. Was $50,000 too little? An insult to a New York City heiress like her? Or was it too much? After all, supporting her for 2 years had only cost me around $20,000. But that $20,000 was everything. Every drop of sweat from slinging boba tea, handing out flyers, and washing dishes day and night. But Chloe Vance was Chloe Vance. In the moment it took for me to process her shock, she had already regained her composure. Through the mesh eyes of the costume, her cold gaze felt like it was trying to bore a hole right through me. Sweat trickled into my eyes, stinging, making them ache and water. $50,000? You got some nerve. Caleb scoffed. Everyone said you were an idiot, but I guess you got smart the second money was on the table. Everyone? That could only mean Chloe. She was always calling me an idiot, telling me I had no brain. It wasn't my fault. A high fever when I was a kid left me a step slower than everyone else. It didn't affect my daily life, but my mind just wasn't as sharp as these NYU business majors. Case in point. Right now, I couldn't think of a single thing to say back. Chloe lifted a hand, and her driver immediately pulled a thick envelope from the trunk. She took it and practically threw it at my chest. $100,000. Is that enough for you? So, she'd come prepared. $100,000. I guess I was worth more than I thought. I nodded. It's enough. Chloe seemed taken aback for a second, her voice softening slightly. Is there nothing else you want? You can say it. Maybe I'll. I cut her off, my voice barely a whisper. There's nothing else. That was a lie. There was something else. I had planned to ask her to stay with me forever, but seeing her and Caleb holding hands, their fingers intertwined, all the fight went out of me. In 2 years, she'd never once held my hand unless I grabbed hers in a desperate, clinging way. She wouldn't even help me up that time. I tripped over a loose paving stone on the sidewalk. You can be slow, but you have to know when you're not wanted. It was the same as when my parents died in that accident. Faced with relatives who all wanted to pass the buck, I chose to walk into the foster care system myself. This time, I was choosing to walk away again. Chloe's lips tightened into a thin, red line, and a cold laugh escaped. Fine. You're doing great. She paused. Leo, you really are a complete idiot. And with that final insult, she turned and left with Caleb. The hot exhaust from the Maybach washed over me. I pulled off the mascot head and wiped my face hard. My hands were sticky. I couldn't tell if it was sweat or tears. Suddenly, I remembered a sweltering, rainy afternoon 2 summers ago. I found her collapsed on a side street, sick and feverish. She looked so helpless, so lost. She reminded me of myself as a kid. Back then, she had been abandoned by her father and stepmother, who had fled the country, leaving all their family assets frozen. The once celebrated debutante had fallen from grace. Friends avoided her. Caleb wouldn't even answer his door, and everywhere she went, people pointed and whispered. And there I was, a guy who could barely support himself, taking her home. Chloe, I had said, let me take care of you. She was sitting on the floor of my tiny apartment, crying so hard she looked like a broken doll. Her usually beautiful voice was hoarse and unrecognizable. You know who I am? Yeah, I work at the boba shop on your campus. She shot me a disdainful look, probably thinking I was just another admirer trying to take advantage of her at her lowest point. And to be fair, that's exactly what I did. She hadn't eaten in 3 days and had spent an entire night in the rain outside Caleb's apartment. She was so weak a gust of wind could have knocked her over. I've been working manual labor jobs since I was a kid, so I was strong. I practically held her captive in my small rental, watching over her for 2 weeks straight, not even letting her drink water until I'd checked that it was the perfect temperature. After that, Chloe just stayed. A pampered princess like her knew nothing about the real world, had no way to make a living. She depended entirely on me, delivering for Amazon in the mornings, bussing tables at lunch, slinging boba in the afternoons, and running for DoorDash at night. Occasionally, she'd show a flicker of pity. Why are you so good to me? You're just making your own life harder. But mostly she was indifferent. She didn't know that in my 20 years of life, the only people who had ever truly been there for me were my parents. They loved me, and they were good to me with no expectation of anything in return. I was with Chloe now, so of course, I had to be good to her. Leo, you're stocking the new shipment. Why are you spacing out again? That's the third time today. The voice of the boba shop manager pulled me from my memories. I snapped out of it and hurried outside. The delivery van was parked at the curb. I grunted as I heaved 2 boxes of milk concentrate onto my shoulder. As I turned, I saw her. Chloe. Caleb was with her, his arm draped loosely around her shoulders. Let's try that new French place tonight, he was saying. My buddy said it's decent. It's only a couple $100 a head, though, so it probably won't be as good as that place we went to in Paris. Chloe obviously saw me too. She faltered for a second, but quickly looked away, replying to Caleb in a warm voice. Okay. For a girl who eats fine French dining, it must have been tough eating my egg fried rice for 2 years. And she'd always eaten it like she was starving. Whoa, is that idiot working here? Caleb looked me up and down, then glanced at the shop sign. Campus Sips. Ha ha ha, I didn't know they had places like this near NYU. He leaned in conspiratorially to Chloe. I heard they sell stuff for like $2. You think you get food poisoning from that? I stared at Chloe and shot back at him. Of course not. Chloe had drunk it. When I brought it to her, she'd complained about how cheap it was, but she drank every last drop. The memory seemed to hit her too. She looked mortified, avoided my gaze, and pulled Caleb away. Back inside, the manager asked curiously, Hey, wasn't that your girlfriend? Why was she with that other guy? On campus, Chloe always acted like she didn't know me. No one knew about us. But last month, during a massive downpour, she had actually waited for me under a dim streetlight with an umbrella. The manager had seen her and teased me. You're a lucky guy. Your girlfriend is gorgeous. It was the first time in my life, since my parents died, that anyone had called me lucky. I was so happy I couldn't stop smiling. When I ran through the rain to reach her, she shoved the umbrella into my arms and turned away. Don't you ever check the weather forecast? Idiot, but I was still ecstatic. She had come to bring me an umbrella. Even if we didn't share it, even if we always kept that careful distance, I thought, naively, that maybe it meant she liked me, just a little. Seeing me just standing there, lost in thought, the manager didn't press the issue. He just sighed, looking at the inventory. Another month in the red. Man, I don't think I can keep this place going. In a city as expensive as New York, it seemed that drinking $2 lemon iced tea was an offense punishable by the Empire State Building itself. Business had been terrible lately. I put down the boxes and looked at my boss with a newfound resolve. That offer you made, I said, about selling the shop for $50,000. Is it still on the table? The number I'd asked Chloe for wasn't random. I wanted to buy this shop. As for whether I'd lose money, I hadn't thought that far ahead. I just figured that in a world with so many people, if some could afford $200 dinners, others could only afford $2 iced teas. My boss was thrilled to agree. The day the shop officially became mine, Chloe made a special trip just to mock me. Are you completely brain dead? Your overhead for utilities, supplies, and labor is going to be more than you make. This place will be out of business in 3 months, tops. I focused on wiping down a table, not even looking up as I replied. Oh, that's okay. My indifference seemed to choke her. She was about to say more when her phone rang. I recognized the voice on the other end. It was Caleb. She shot me a cold glare, answered the phone, and hurried away. I was admittedly a little hurt. It seemed Chloe had forgotten what she'd said that one time, back when I came home so exhausted I could barely move and complained about a customer who'd given me a hard time at the restaurant I was working at. Our dynamic was always the same. I'd ramble on, and she'd cut me down with a sarcastic remark. But that day, she stared at the burn mark on the back of my hand for a long time before finally saying, One day, I'll make you the boss. Then you can just order people around, and you won't be so tired. That was the first time I realized there was another possibility for my life beyond just working for other people. But Chloe's mockery just now had reminded me of something. I needed to hire someone. How could I be a boss without any employees? I quickly found a piece of cardboard and scrawled, "Help wanted part-time" in black marker. I was chewing on a piece of packing tape, about to stick the sign to the door, when a pair of long, pale fingers took it from me. I turned to see a slender girl standing there. She pointed at the sign and asked, "Are you hiring?" "I'm a student here." She wore a mask and a simple ponytail. Her gray t-shirt was faded from washing, but she looked neat and clean. And just like that, for $12 an hour cash, I hired Maya Reed. I had officially become a boss. 3 days after I took over, business was still dead. Maya had nothing to do, so she sat at the counter reading a book with a title I couldn't even pronounce. After my fifth sigh in as many minutes, she finally couldn't take it anymore. She closed her book and said, "We should sell at the basketball court. Use coolers with ice packs. It's more refreshing than water." My eyes lit up. "Make 20 cups. Let's go." The university was in the middle of a big basketball tournament, and the stands were packed. The two of us hauled our styrofoam coolers over, grunting with the effort. A heat wave was suffocating the city, the air so hot it felt like you were breathing fire, but the bleachers were full. Caleb was on fire on the court, weaving past defenders and sinking a three-pointer that sent the girls in the crowd into a frenzy. And right at the front, surrounded by an entourage, was Chloe. One person held an umbrella over her, another a small, portable fan, and a third handed her a cold drink. It was true. Once you had money, the whole world kissed up to you. She was no longer the lonely, dejected girl who only had me. Maya walked ahead of me, guiding me to the front of the crowd. She whispered, "The half is about to end. When it does, you go pitch to the players first. They're the hottest and thirstiest right now. Once they start buying, the spectators will follow." I nodded, then it hit me. "Wait, am I the boss or are you?" "No way you go." "Fine. You sell to the guys, I'll sell to the girls." "Deal." "Deal." At halftime, I walked over to the team's rest area and immediately locked eyes with Chloe. We both looked away, a silent, mutual agreement. She didn't want anyone to know her embarrassing old acquaintance, and I had no interest in selling to her crowd. But Caleb wasn't going to let me off that easy. As he came off the court, he slammed his shoulder right into me. I didn't have time to react. The cooler crashed to the ground, and lemon iced tea splashed everywhere. "Damn it, you got my shoes dirty." Caleb, who hadn't managed to dodge the spray, glared down at the stain on his basketball shoes. "These things cost $800. That's more than your life is worth. You got that." His shout drew the attention of the entire crowd. Chloe walked over, not even glancing at me. Her eyes were fixed on Caleb, full of concern. What happened? This guy was just shoving his way through with this huge box and ran right into me. Only then did Chloe's gaze fall on me. It was cold and laced with blame. Her voice was just as icy. "Is this really the place to be running your business, Leo?" I may be slow with my words, but I wasn't going to be falsely accused. He's the one who ran into me. He should be the one to apologize, and he should be the one to pay for the drinks. I was sure she had seen it, but even if she had, her first instinct was to blame me. I've been dealt a lot of unfair hands in my life, but it had always been from people I didn't care about. This was the first time it truly, physically hurt. I fought to keep my voice steady. "Apologize." She stared at the corners of my eyes, which were starting to turn red, and she seemed to freeze. Ever since Chloe came into my life, I'd been so happy that no hardship felt too difficult. There was nothing to cry about. Getting chewed out by customers, being exhausted to the point of numbness. I always just laughed it off. Even on the day we broke up, I hadn't let her see my eyes get red. Now, she actually seemed a little flustered. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but Caleb cut her off. He tilted his chin up, his face a mask of contempt. "Are you actually stupid? Even if I did it on purpose, there's no world where I apologize to you." Chloe, who always loved to lecture me about what was right and wrong, now only recognized his version of right. After a moment's hesitation, she stuffed a few bills into my hand. "He's always been like this. He's not going to apologize. Take this as compensation." It was a decent amount, enough to cover our groceries for half a month back in the day. I stared at the mess on the ground, not knowing what to say. Maya walked over, bent down to pick up the ruined cooler, and said to me, "Let's go. We need to get the drinks ready for the second half." She took a small step forward, her slender body trying to shield me from the mocking stares of the crowd. I was really down after that. I felt like a plant that had been left in the sun too long, my head hanging low the entire walk back. I only perked up when Maya said, "I sold all of mine." Suddenly, I had my energy back, but I was soaked and sticky, so Maya wouldn't let me go back for the second half. She ran back and forth with the drinks herself, trip after trip. And every time she sold out. Not only that, but more and more guys started showing up at the shop to buy boba. They'd steal glances at Maya, nudging each other, clearly wanting to ask for a number. It was only then that I realized Maya had taken off her mask. She was beautiful. It was a month later when Chloe came to find me again. She walked into the shop hesitantly and asked, "That egg fried rice you make, how do you do it?" During our poorest days, every cent we saved went towards her next semester's tuition. We ate egg fried rice for a month straight. It was cheap and filling. I would always do what my mom used to do for me, hiding the best part of the meal at the bottom of my bowl. I'd serve my own portion first, then crack 2 more eggs into the pan for her. Now, having tasted delicacies from all over, it seemed Chloe was nostalgic for it. My family has hired 3 different chefs, and none of them can get that flavor. Could you just make it for me one more time? Boss, Maya interrupted. I think there's a problem with yesterday's accounts. I left Chloe standing there and went straight to the register. I looked over the books several times, but couldn't see any issues. Maya was patient. Look closer. The number of cup boxes doesn't match the supplier's invoice. I'm worried they shorted us. I think I forgot to count yesterday. How could I be so stupid? A case of cups wasn't cheap. I was frustrated and angry with myself, sighing over and over. But Maya just smiled, comforting me. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not a huge deal. I'll check the security footage now and give the supplier a call. I nodded gratefully. In my peripheral vision, I saw Chloe watching us, her expression dark and unreadable. She seemed to be staring at me and Maya for a long time. By the second month, the shop was finally profitable. It was all thanks to Maya. She didn't just attract a horde of customers with her looks. She also developed a little delivery app for on- and off-campus orders, with me making the deliveries to the dorms. I was genuinely thankful. I patted her on her paper-thin back and said, I'm giving you a $500 bonus this month. She was in the middle of eating the egg fried rice I'd made, and my sudden gesture seemed to startle her. She choked on her food, turning her head to cough quietly. Even the tips of her ears turned red. Do you need some water? She shook her head. I eat the food you bring for free every day. Just pay me the hourly wage we agreed on. The shop had been incredibly busy lately, especially around mealtimes. The easiest thing was for me to make a big batch of egg fried rice every day and bring a portion for Maya too. After a month of this, she'd put on a little weight. Her once frail frame now looked healthy and just right, and she had more color in her cheeks. This, in turn, led to even more guys coming to see her, some even from other universities who'd heard about her. Since she refused the bonus, I couldn't press it. But seeing her alternate between the same 2 t-shirts and a pair of worn-out canvas shoes gave me a new idea. On my day off, I went to the mall. I bought 2 dresses from the clearance rack and picked out a pair of discounted shoes, spending a couple $100. I was just coming down the escalator, bags in hand, when I ran into Chloe and Caleb. She was carrying several high-end shopping bags, listening to Caleb with a gentle smile on her face. This mall is so pathetic. Not a single store in here is good enough for you. Then he saw me. Hey, what are you doing here? Did your little shop finally go under? Back to working odd jobs. I held up the bags in my hand. It's none of your business. Can I be here to buy things? Chloe's expression changed instantly. She stared at the bags and demanded, Who are those for? I shot back. That's none of your business either. Chloe recognized the brand. It was a brand that had been far too expensive for us a year ago. For her birthday, I had carefully chosen a new season jacket from that store that cost nearly $200. When I presented it to her, she didn't even give it a second glance. You wasted your time. This isn't my style. Maybe it was because I was naturally slow, or maybe I was just used to being ignored. I had very low expectations when it came to emotional validation. But that day, not even getting a simple thank you, I couldn't help but feel hurt. Chloe shook off Caleb's arm and stormed right up to me, grabbing my sleeve fiercely. Don't you dare tell me you bought those for that broke little part-timer. Maya was poor, but she was a good person. She was my friend, or to be more accurate, a first real friend. Growing up, other kids always called me stupid and played tricks on me. No one wanted to be my friend. Over time, I started doing it to myself, automatically calling myself an idiot whenever I made a mistake, no matter how small. But Maya would always tell me, no, everyone makes mistakes. You're not dumb at all. I square my shoulders. Yeah, I bought them for her. So what? You want some too? Chloe was furious now, her breathing heavy. Seeing her state, Caleb's glare at me turned venomous. An idiot and a poor girl. A match made in heaven. You two could be perfectly happy eating your cheap takeout and wearing 3 for $10 t-shirts. Happiness is so simple for you people. That comment seemed to strike a nerve with Chloe. After all, we had lived through those desperate days together. She spun on him and screamed, Shut up. Caleb flinched, shocked into silence. She looked down, her voice practically a snarl. Leo, are you some kind of saint? Do you just find every lost soul you can and pour your entire heart out to them? Yeah, I said. That's what I did with you, wasn't it? She always used my kindness to mock me. But I didn't get it. Weren't you supposed to be good to the people in your life? My words seemed to wound her for a moment. I used the opportunity to pull my arm free and walk away without looking back. Behind me, I thought I heard her voice thick with tears. Does it just have to be someone? Anyone at all, as long as they're with you. I didn't answer. The truth was, it wasn't just anyone. In the beginning, I really truly had loved Chloe. Maya hadn't been coming in much lately. When I'd text to ask if she had time to work, she'd always have some excuse. But the strange thing was, every morning when I came in, the tea was already brewed and the ice machine was running. It was like a secret helper was coming in overnight and getting everything ready. With Maya gone, business dropped off significantly. The most frequent visitor, surprisingly, was Chloe. She'd come in, ostensibly to watch my failure unfold, but her expression was always serious. Leo, did that poor girl finally figure out you're an idiot? Is that why she's not sticking around anymore? She'd taunt. Not everyone you help is going to be like me, knowing you're a fool and staying anyway. Don't you get that? I put on my headphones and cranked the volume all the way up, tuning her out. Just before the music started, I thought I heard her say something. I won't call you stupid anymore. You can stay. Then the bright, clear voice of the singer filled my ears, and I didn't hear whatever else she said. I found out what was happening with Maya a week later. A couple of students buying boba were chatting, saying that the pretty part-timer who used to work here had been seen going to the dean's office a lot. I heard someone powerful got her guaranteed scholarship canceled. The Vance family offered to sponsor her, but she refused. So now she's at the dean's office every day, petitioning for a reevaluation. Canceled suddenly, and related to the Vances. I couldn't help but connect it to Chloe. But before I could go confront her, Maya came back on her own. She looked exhausted. Without a word, she just started working, her head down. Do you need money? I can give you an advance on your salary. No, I can just give you some. I don't need it. She didn't look up, just kept wiping down the tables. Did Chloe come see you? I got a reaction. Her lips trembled as she said, yes. She offered to pay for my entire bachelor's and master's degrees, tuition and living expenses, on one condition: I stay away from you. She paused. You know, I was tempted. Life is crushing me, and that was a very real way out. Her eyelashes fluttered as she looked right at me. I was genuinely happy for her. That's great. You wouldn't have to struggle so much anymore. She didn't speak for a long moment, but her eyes grew red. No, I thought about it, but I decided against it. Otherwise, this shop would go under for sure. In the end, I don't know how Maya resolved it, but she got the scholarship. With the top grades in every single one of her major courses, it should have been hers all along. We fell back into our old routine, living our simple, happy lives. Seeing us growing closer, Chloe became more and more agitated. She started coming to the shop every few days. The sight of Maya eating the egg fried rice I made for her seemed to infuriate her the most. Her voice would twist with anger. Are you getting stupid too? Hanging around an idiot like Leo? Don't you know how to make the right choice? Maya, who is usually all gentle smiles, finally hardened her expression. Is tearing him down how you show him you care? I didn't quite understand what she meant by that, but I remember Chloe's face flushing bright red before she turned and practically fled the shop. I asked Maya later. She's always calling me stupid for being good to people. Am I wrong? She smiled. You're not wrong. She just doesn't deserve someone as genuine as you. Maya's smile that day was so beautiful. Her eyes curved into crescents, brighter and clearer than the moon. As autumn deepened, the campus grounds were covered in maple leaves. But Maya didn't show up for work. After asking around, I learned that something terrible had happened with her family. I didn't know the details, but without a second thought, I ran to the hospital. In a dimly lit hallway, Maya was slumped on a bench, her head bowed. Her eyes were unfocused, staring blankly at the floor. I'd never seen her like this. It reminded me, painfully, of the way Chloe used to be. When she saw me, Maya shifted over to make room. I sat down next to her. I didn't say anything. I just sat there with her in the quiet. After a long time, she finally started to speak. When I was little, there was this older boy in my neighborhood who was really nice to me. His family was poor. His mom died young, and his dad worked construction jobs far away, so he started doing farm work when he was just a kid. He never got much schooling. When he turned 16, he followed in his dad's footsteps, doing the same hard labor. The two of them made maybe $10,000 a year, and all of it went to paying off the debt from his mom's medical bills. A few years ago, his dad fell from some scaffolding. A steel rod went through his leg, severing an artery. They tried to save him for over 10 hours. While his dad was in the ICU, the boy climbed to the hospital roof. He fell into a snowdrift, quietly. They didn't find him until the next morning. His body was already frozen stiff. I didn't know why she was telling me this, but it made me worried for her. Why are you thinking about him now? Did something happen to you? She finally looked up at me. The next second, she threw herself into my arms, her body curling into a ball as she buried her face in my shoulder and let out quiet, choked sobs. I found out later that her mother, who was her only family, worked the night shift at a factory. Overcome with exhaustion, her hand had been caught in a machine. Her life was hanging by a thread. I took out all the money I had, even pulling the loose change from my pockets. It was a little over $40,000. I gave it all to her. She didn't refuse me, but she only took $10,000. I'll pay you back. And she did. A year after graduation, she paid me back tenfold. But to this day, I still don't know if the story Maya told me that night was about that neighborhood boy or if it was about herself. Thanks to the money, her mom pulled through and was moved to a regular room. Her mother was a kind-looking woman, her face lined with a lifetime of hard work, but her eyes weren't cloudy. They were clear and bright, just like Maya's. She always called me Leo, sweetie. When she realized I was a bit slow to react, she didn't give me a look of pity or scorn like other people did. She just smiled and said, "He doesn't seem slow to me at all." Maya's always telling me on the phone how amazing your egg fried rice is. That's not a simple thing to do well, you know. She reminded me of my own mom, who would always hold me and tell me I was the smartest kid in the world. Wait, Maya had talked to her mom about me? I glanced over at her. Her ears went red, and she cleared her throat, quickly changing the subject. The shop was closed for a week. It didn't take long for Chloe to find me at the hospital. I felt like the way she looked at me had changed, but I couldn't put my finger on it. It was a complex look filled with emotions I couldn't decipher. Are you some kind of sucker? Why are you giving Maya money? Is she really worth you being so good to her? The barrage of questions gave me a headache. I picked the last one to answer. Yeah, she's worth it. I want to be good to her. If you need money, I've still got about $30,000 left in my account. You can have it all. Chloe's eyes lit up, her voice trembling with excitement. Really? I knew you still loved me. I knew you were still willing to give me everything, just like before. No, I said, shaking my head. It's because when I asked for $50,000, you gave me too much. She looked like she was so angry she could laugh, her chest heaving. What on earth am I to you? You're not. I cut her off. I used to be good to you too. A wounded expression crossed her face. She looked at me mournfully. You just like pathetic people, don't you? People you can take care of like stray cats and dogs. I thought she was the one being an idiot, unable to understand plain English. I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I moved to walk past her and go find Maya. But she blocked my path with her arm. Then why can't you love me again? I won't call you stupid anymore. I have money now. You won't have to struggle. Isn't that better? I shook my head. No, it's not. Even now, you stand in front of me and look down on me. Before, I was willing to take every tiny scrap of kindness you showed me and blow it up in my own mind to fool myself into thinking it was enough. But things are different now. I've suddenly realized that maybe I'm not so stupid after all. I've realized there are people who won't look down on me. I've realized my mom wasn't lying. A true heart really can be met with another. I don't know if Chloe understood me this time, but when I pushed her hand away, it was easy. It was as if all the strength had gone out of her. Maya was waiting for me at the door to the hospital room. I don't know if she saw what happened. She deliberately took my hand, her fingers gripping it tightly, as if she was afraid I would pull away. She was overthinking it. My heart was beating so fast, the thought of pulling away never even crossed my mind. Once we were inside the room, she finally let go. The back of my hand was clammy, and my own chest felt tight and damp. She didn't look at me, but she mumbled, "I thought for a second you might go soft on her." How could I? I'm not an idiot. After that, and for all the time that followed, I had Maya by my side. And I had a new mom, too. I learned that happiness didn't have to feel like walking on thin ice. I learned that you didn't have to be smart to be loved. And I learned that a true heart, really and truly, could be met with another.